we might have 90
Okay.
members.
Oh, it is Tuesday, August 5th at 6 p.m. and I'd like to call the Village of North Hudson Regular Board of Trustees meeting to order. I have a short invocation. Father, we ask for wisdom, guidance, and discernment in the decisions we make that affect our village and its residents. We also ask you to watch over our police and all who serve. Roll call, please.
Trustee Keller.
Here.
Trustee McGurran.
Here.
Trustee Nelson.
Here.
Trustee Olson.
Here.
Trustee Pike.
Here.
Trustee Porter.
Here.
President Wecken.
Here. Thank you. Item 2, review and approve minutes from the regular board meeting of July 1, 2025.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Brian. Is there a second?
Second.
John?
Yes.
Thank you. Any additions, corrections, or amendments to the meeting minutes as presented? Hearing none, all in favor of the minutes as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item 3, comments from the floor is limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Is an opportunity for Village of North Hudson residents, property owners, and business owners to make the board aware of new topics, issues, opportunities not on today's agenda for the consideration for future meetings. Amy?
Thank you, President. Amy Noonan, 3237 7th Street North. I'm here as a resident to make a statement in support of, when possible, the village pursuing a pedestrian bike trail connecting North Hudson with Hudson, and that the surrounding jointly owned lands be preserved for conservancy, public access, and dam maintenance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mary Beth?
210 7th Street North, Mary Beth Mattia, and I'm here to also support that proposal that Amy's talking about, and that in any considerations, whether for zoning or development or anything, that land be considered from the St. Croix Scenic Riverway legal standpoint, and any setbacks and limitations to that, so that we put it to the best use and consider it as legacy for the whole village purposes, and not consider anything like selling it off for just short-term gain instead of maybe whole development of economy and things like that. So I'm for the bike path, so thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Jackie?
.306 Helen Street North, Jackie Bradham, and as Amy said, I'd like to see that land used for the good of the village residents rather than sold off, and eliminating the possibility of that bike trail going through.
Thank you. Bob?
I don't think the microphone's on.
Nikolai?
Lights
Says
on.
it's
It's red.
Bob Bradham, 306 Helen Street. I also agree, I would like to see the property maintained for public use and put, including the proposed bike trail. I think that'd be a good asset for the village to make it available to the public, and it could attract people that might benefit businesses locally, so I'd like to see that continue to be a public asset. Thank you.
Is this, on the agenda tonight is the railroad property?
Yeah, they're-
So we can hold our comments for that.
We're flirting with a blend of both.
Yep.
well, we don't usually have discussion from the the folks in the audience during the individual address to each one of the items on the agenda. And I can just tell by the group that's here, I would hear the same thing over and over again that we've heard for many years. So I don't think there's going to be any public input during the
Then maybe I would like to speak, if I may, now. Thank you. Gene Haberman, 102 East Bank Court. Our property adjoins the railroad, as you probably all know, and I just want to express our support, I guess, and mention some concerns that we have, limited to like 4 things. Traffic. We've had numerous problems with traffic on that driveway down to the dam over the years, as you're well aware. And since Lenzen has purchased that property and put up the barriers, that's pretty much solved that problem. But we want to make sure that that will continue because we've had a number of issues with that. Number 2, privacy. We have a screen now that actually borders on the property of the railroad, but we use it as our screening. So we would like to have that maintained because it's important. It's very close to my unit, as an example, of Tom Palmer, who's here too. Safety, access for police and fire, and our waste pickup. We have a stockpile of branches and leaves and so forth, and we had to work something out with Lenzen on that, so that we have an easement to go back and pick that up. That's been there for many, many years. And then the last thing is if there's going to be home sites, and I've been trying to figure out where they're going to be on this various maps that I've seen, and we're just concerned that there's enough setback from where the East Bank, the south unit on the East Bank property, that there's sufficient setback from any building that would be going on along the river. So I understand there's some new things that have happened in the meantime here, so I'll wait to hear what you have to say about that.
Thank you. Anyone have anything new? Hearing not, we'll move on. Item 4 is new business from the board or staff and the president's comments. And the first thing I want to do is thank our Public Works Director and his crew for the great job they did. That we were blessed that we didn't have the storm damage that a lot of places did, and Richmond got clobbered pretty hard, and we were fortunate this time. But when we had a few branches or trees down, the Public Works crew was out at 10:30 at night and worked until midnight to clean it up so everybody could get through. And I just wanted to say thank you to Matt and his team. And then, as you might be able to tell, in 10 days we have the Village Festival coming up, and it is called Pepperfest. And so the buttons are available at most of the local retail merchants in town, and we hope you will join us at Pepperfest which is always usually a really good time, good food, good music, and so that's our biggest celebration, and it's one of the best municipal celebrations around. Thank you. Okay, Gina.
Yeah, just a couple of updates. Recently, there was an announcement from the DNR about Lakefront Beach and Hudson being closed down due to E. coli. I just wanted to reassure everybody that we did work with the county and the DNR to confirm that our beaches here, Browns in particular, was tested on that same day, and the E. coli results were normal. A couple of things that impact the lakeside or lakefront beach versus Browns, for example, is lakefront is affected by a huge geese population. And it's the geese population and the output from the geese population that's contributing to some of the issues that they're having there. A lot, as well as lakefront is also in a cove, so they're not benefiting from the currents like we do up at Browns. And so someone was questioning how could they have such an issue and we wouldn't just, a little ways up the river, and that is why. So just know that Browns is also looked at by the DNR and the county, and all the same testing is done. And if we ever see anything or hear anything that shows any concerns, we'll obviously let the residents know. But just wanted to clarify that. The city has begun refilling the water tower, so they are done with the rehabilitation of the water tower up on Deer Park. Residents may start to see some sediment in the next few days as a result of refilling that water tower. If you do and you have concerns, please contact the city. They would be able to speak to that a little bit more as far as what you might be seeing. With that, though, the irrigation restrictions that were placed about a month ago, those will be removed after they're done completing refilling of that water tower. So that project is almost complete. We did get a bunch of what they call diggers hotlines yesterday from Excel Energy. It looks like they are planning on replacing some gas lines along 10th Street. So if you're on 10th Street or around 10th Street and you notice some activity coming up, either flags in your yard or when they begin, just know that that is Excel. That is coming through, and again, it's continuing of replacement of gas lines in the village. A couple of just standard items. We did process 8 building permits in July. 5 of them were HVAC related, so I think that can speak to the heat that we had a few of those weeks in July. And then we are beginning budget season already. So the emails have gone out. We're looking for both our operating budget related items as well as any capital projects. So a lot of the committee chairs are very busy working with their counterparts to come up with what those capital requests should be. We did just recently get made aware that Health Partners is increasing our rates on our current plan by 12.5%. And so we're back at the table looking at different options for healthcare. We just had to switch last year, but obviously 12.5% is very hard to do with a levy that is frozen. So that's a nice introduction into the next topic, but more to come on that.
Next. Okay, next is, we have a presentation from Ehlers regarding our Line Q budget opportunities, discussion only.
And while Brian Riley is plugging in, I'll kind of explain. I had actually asked Brian to come. We were made aware recently of some opportunities at the state level that municipalities like ours could potentially additional revenue is important, and we can go through kind of all the numbers. A couple of things, we were finishing up our comp plan, and there's some pretty cool things in the comp plan and some pretty lofty goals. In order to accomplish a lot of those things, you need money. And today, the way that our levy is set, there's not going to be enough money in our standard operating budget to do a lot of the things that are in that comp plan. If you look at the village of North Hudson and compared to all of the other villages and cities in St. Croix County, we have the second lowest tax mill rate, is what they call it, at 2.49%. The only one that's lower than us is the village of Wilson. There are some municipalities in St. Croix County that are 3 times what we have as a mill rate. And so those dollars are pretty serious. We're talking, if we averaged out the mill rate at St. Croix County and we used that, we'd be over $1 million more of revenue a year. And so low mill rates, great for property taxes, makes it really hard to follow through on things like comp plans and parks and those sorts of things. So we're looking, what other opportunities do we have? We've consulted with Ehlers. Brian is fantastic. He's our primary resource, and so he agreed to come and just discuss and educate us on what other options could we have as we look at going into budgeting season.
Gina, one question. It's not just our comp plan goals, it's actually our maintaining our operation, even for dealing with things like wages and insurance increases. We can't do that. We're not even talking about nice things. We're talking about operating.
Yeah, yes, that's a great point. Thank you.
All right, good evening. Gina, thank you for the introduction and the kind words. I do a lot of public speaking, but I can't think of anything more uninspiring than a line Q discussion, right? I'm sure that's very nondescript for most people. So the intent here is not to go through chapter and verse levy limits. I think the board probably has a broad understanding. I am happy to answer any questions you have as we go along here and even after I'm done with this specific subject. But this is a really technical area that is full of a bunch of illogical rules that have been cobbled together since 2004. So this is really 20 years in the making, and I'll speak to some things that occurred during the first kind of iteration, we'll call it, version 1 of levy limits and why these sorts of provisions are in place as they are right now. So if it's amenable to Board Chair, Village President, we take questions as we're going along, or do you want to wait till the end?
We can, I don't have, either way, I don't,
It's a short presentation, so maybe we just absorb
Yeah,
it and deal with it at the
board,
end.
I don't know, but,
Yeah, I'm also happy to take
I
questions.
think we need to know what you're talking about first.
Sure thing. And so your staff have done a very good job of kind of identifying the numbers, and I believe you've looked through some of that information. And I will also say, too, that the best thing you can do is reach out to the Department of Revenue. They have, we're essentially auditors who review the physical document you prepare to substantiate your allowable levy. And when they see infrequent adjustments, they pick up the phone and they call and they ask you prove it. And so that has largely been done. Everything that's been asked, we've gotten affirmative responses over the course of time just to make sure that if you take certain action, it is appropriate under law. Like, we're here to give you guidance, but at the end of the day, they control the outcomes, and we just, even if we say, yep, you can do that, it's never a bad thing to ask them first versus deal with it later on the other side. So always ask for permission in this case instead of forgiveness. And just so really high level, I'm not going to go through every aspect. Some of this was pulled from a much larger deck that encompasses levy limits in total, and we're focusing on a very small portion of the overall framework. And so really just these first two, again, I think you're all well aware, and also there's members of the public here. So the increase to your levy on an annual basis is limited. There are some adjustments that are unlimited, but there's really only a couple of them. So I'll touch on that briefly. And so every year, you are told exactly how much your levy can go up. And for you, because you have never had, you don't presently or have ever had any tax increment districts, it's really just one thing, and that's net new construction. So net new construction is literally a percentage that is populated on your worksheet. It comes to you pre-filled, and it tells you what your allowable increase to the levy is. And you can take up to, you can do less, but that's the max you can take as an increase to your levy on a year in, year out basis. The bottom end of that range is 0. And so there's no instance where there would be a ratcheting down effect unless you took action on the part of the board to reduce the levy on your own volition and leave some of your allowable levy capacity kind of in reserve, and then there's a way to get it back, but it's a little arcane as well. So there are various adjustments available to you. The primary adjustment that municipalities typically use is related to general obligation debt service. You do have some general obligation debt. You do levy taxes. To pay that debt, you can levy an unlimited amount by dollar or rate to pay your general obligation debt service. And I'm sure you're inferring the obvious here that makes you a good credit, right? If you were limited in terms of how much you could levy for debt service, you would have a limited general obligation pledge, and it would, quite frankly, cost you nominally more in interest if that was the pledge versus an unlimited tax pledge. I think it's clear that we need to do things correctly and completely, so we don't need to touch on that. And so what I'm going to focus on here is really the green section related to increases in the levy. So there are some adjustments related to TID terminations that can be valuable. Again, net new construction. And then there's a section that has kind of a litany of various adjustments, some of which you're unlikely to ever use, but some of which you can avail yourself of that make positive economic outcomes for your overall budget, and that's where we're going to focus. And this just happens to be a line on the worksheet that is labeled line Q. And we've gotten that far in the alphabet at this point on the worksheet. Didn't start there. I don't think we need to worry about personal property. Sorry, there are some transitions and effects in here that I'll try not to forget about. And so if you go back to the origin of levy limits, people are creative and they think of ways to get done what's needed to get done at the local level. And so one of those ways was to say, all right, we have all these services that we're providing and we're funding out of the tax levy. How about if we transition some of those to a user fee-based system of revenue, which makes logical sense in and of itself, but it was largely to then free up levy capacity, because when you did that at that time, you were not required to reduce your levy a commensurate amount in relationship to that service that you were paying for that is now transitioning revenue. So you could collect the same amount of levy, and you could also collect the revenue. And so this went on for a few years, and the political interests could see what was going on, and they could see that people were kind of escaping the restrictions that they had fundamentally intended in this case. And so as a result, the law was subsequently changed and incorporated these negative adjustments related to transition to what are called covered services. And by that, I mean that it is specifically enumerated in the statute, and these are those covered services. So you've got garbage collection, which does not include recycling, so essentially solid waste, not recycling. Snow plowing, I'll see if I can move this over a little bit if I'm crimping the cable or something. Yeah, stormwater management, and street sweeping, and then fire protection. But fire protection is a little unique in that it excludes things that you're doing related specifically to production, storage, transmission, sale, delivery, or furnishing of water for public fire protection purposes. And so as a result, you've seen a lot of communities take the fire protection charge off the levy and bring it over to the water utility. So essentially the water utility customers are paying it and not strictly the taxpayers. To me, that makes logical sense. You want that same customer base to also be picking up that charge as well, but then you're also not required to reduce your levy a commensurate amount in that regard either. In order to do that, you do have to go through a rate case with the Public Service Commission, so there's some process associated with that, but it is an option you can avail yourself of. And so before we get into some examples, there's a little bit of nuance to the covered service adjustment. And so whether you have a fee system in place and you're going to increase it and transition some of what's paid from the levy over, or if you're starting from what you're going to be contemplating potentially is transition entirely to a fee-based structure, the implications are a little bit different. And you have to go back to the moment in time where, and this is actually a beneficial thing, but you go back to the moment in time where this became law. And it became law in 2013 for the 2014 budget. And so the dollars, as far as the negative adjustments go, relate to what was funded from the tax levy in the 2014 budget. I'm not responsible for this, by the way. I know that's hard to follow along. So I think all of you have this in front of you. So if you could follow along, that'd be great.
It is in the packet. And for those of you listening at home, you can
Sure.
find it online. Apologies.
All right, so the adjustment, the negative adjustment, in no way, if you make the transition to a fee-based system, regardless of how much revenue that generates, the negative adjustment can never be greater than what the dollar amount was for that service funded from the levy in your 2014 budget. So levy 13, collect 14. And so when you're looking at what has been prepared for you by your staff, they're going back in time and they have kind of forensically gone through the budget at that time and pointed to the dollar amounts attached to these specific covered services that are contemplated as an opportunity to potentially go from a levy-paid system to a fee-based system. All right, so it's not what you paid last year from the budget. You go back in time over a decade and point to that dollar amount. And we'll see why that's important here in a moment. Primarily because what this can do is result in an increase in total revenue that you collect, even if you do have to reduce the levy. We'll skip the pilot discussion, just know that they come into play here, and I just throw that out for all of your benefit, because sometimes you do negotiate pilot agreements with say, non-tax-paying entities when they enter the village or do certain things, and so this can come into play. All right, so the full conversion to user fee example, that's what you're looking at. Let me just see if I can do this. See, you turned it off, okay.
Page 7 in the document online.
It's contagious, I lost my screen as well. Yeah. Oh, thank you. That's very nice of you. All right, I'm back.
Okay. All right, perfect.
All right, so what we're looking at, let's try one more time, just so everybody can follow along, see what happens.
It's time to replace that.
Not hospitable, all right. All right, so if we go, if this is just an example, right? If your 2014 budget had a $100,000 component associated with the covered service in your tax levy, and then you transitioned to an entirely user fee source of funding, if it was $100,000 in 2014, and then when you implement the system of charges and you can generate $125,000, you lose the $100,000 from the levy. But you've gained $25,000 in revenue as a result, all right? And so the net benefit then can be seen here because the cost of things increase over time. So you're delivering the same service, it now costs more. You can generate the revenue needed to provide that service, and you can still take the negative adjustment. It is permanent, so it does go away. And so you do have to reduce your levy, but in total, you are now collecting more revenue as a result of this sort of adjustment. I think the transition from a partially fee-based structure and increasing the revenue is probably a little more confusing, but just know that it has the same implications. If you have anything that you're collecting both taxes and user fees for, and you decide to increase the amount of the user charge, you similarly have to take a negative adjustment. It usually similarly has the same positive impact because, again, you're always looking back to the 2014 budget, and through just the course of time, inflationary increases usually result in the cost of things increasing. So that's usually a deflated number from today's value, essentially. That's really the concept in theory. Again, we've known about this for quite some time. This has been the reality of the world for the better part of the last 10 years. I mean, you've seen communities try to implement, I don't want to call it a wheelage tax, but wheelage fees, anything related to providing services where they can potentially generate more revenue as a result for all the reasons that you just talked about, which are probably a short list compared to the longer list that you do have in terms of what you're dealing with. But the objective has typically been to gain levy capacity. In the case of where we stand now, you don't gain levy capacity, you build more revenue. All right, so there is a corresponding reduction in the levy associated with making these sorts of transitions from a levy-based funding methodology to a fee-based methodology. I would also say with a fee-based methodology, understand too, you're diversifying the source of funding to non-tax-paying entities. And so if there's a benefit there correspondingly is a charge for the benefit.
Say that again?
When you levy taxes for something, right, the only people that are paying are the ones that pay property taxes.
Okay.
There are ways to specially assess all properties as well, so that's a little different. And there are ways to enter into payments in lieu of taxes with certain entities to receive some revenue from them when you're providing services to them. When something is fee-based, really everybody receiving that service is also going to pay the fee, not just property taxpayers specifically.
So businesses.
Correct.
Oh, you're talking business.
Non-tax-paying property owner, right? So you've got exempt property.
Yep.
They also pay the fee, and so now you've broadened the base of
Okay.
payers
Gotcha.
at the same time as you're potentially raising more revenue as a result.
How do you collect those fees?
I'll leave it to the staff. I'm sure you have some in place as it stands right now, but
Let's say we've got a rental unit out there and the landlord or owner's paying property taxes. Would these user fees hit the renters potentially?
probably not directly, indirectly, because the landlord wants to charge a certain amount of rent to run that business, right?
Go
And
to the
so as,
landlord, then the landlord decide to raise it, the
Oh,
price of it.
gotcha.
Yeah, so it
but
wouldn't-
they're already paying, they're also paying, if it's a taxable property, and they're paying property taxes
Right,
as well.
Let's take, for example, like the nonprofit in town would be the church, right? So they don't pay property taxes today, but they use fire services.
Right.
If we went from a levy paid to a user paid, they would have to contribute to the fire services fund, if you will.
The public fire protection is a good example of that, right? They're water customers.
Right.
They need access to the water system, including fire protection.
Yeah.
Right now, you're funding that through the tax levy, and so not all the users of water or the beneficiaries of public fire protection are paying
Okay,
the tax levy portion.
gotcha. Thanks.
Could you explain the example of, for instance, garbage? So the village isn't paid for garbage service. Users pay the company that we contract with. So are you suggesting that we could actually capture additional funds by charging for garbage ourselves?
It's one of the covered services. It is set out
Yeah.
in law, so I can't speak to whether or not that specifically applies to you. Again, I think the administrator and treasurer have put together kind of a list of items that could potentially be transitioned from the levy with specific dollar amounts. So again, those examples apply in this case, and from what's been reviewed, do result in an overall increase of revenue to the village for a number of reasons. Even though you do have to have a corresponding reduction in the levy, the user fee revenues would be ultimately a net higher than the tax levy piece. So I don't know if garbage collection is a part of that. I doubt it if you're
Yeah,
paying a private company.
Not today, because the
yeah.
village isn't collecting and paying.
So there is because I don't see it in our materials. There is something that says what would happen to our levy and our income if we did this
Yep,
with
so
certain items.
The two that Nathan and I have been working on is the fire protection services and the snow plowing services. We've gotten some numbers together, like Brian had said. We were unsure of how to present these numbers on a topic that we've never talked about, and is really fairly complex. And so we thought, let's start with Brian coming in and explaining the opportunities and where there might be some availability for the village to look at this as we enter into budget season. And then what we'll do after this is show you some of the rough numbers that we have, just from like fire protection services, for example. And in the 2014, we were paying $91,000 roughly as a village for fire protection. And as of this coming year, so if we were to have done this in 2025, we could have charged up to $144,000 in a fee-based system, which is freeing up $53,000 of that levy capacity. So we're talking about that net new revenue of up to $53,000. Sounds like a lot, and it is, but if you really break that down, because of the decrease in the levy, we're talking, if we were to go to that amount, it would be about $31 a year per household. But it would allow for us to bring in about $53,000 of additional revenue.
Yeah, and I'd make sure terminology, right, you don't gain levy capacity. You're
Right.
losing
Yeah,
levy
you'd lose
capacity,
that.
but you're increasing the total amount of revenue that's coming into the general fund budget, or, however you want to characterize some of these user-based fee systems, may be characterized as different kinds of funds other than the general fund, but it still has the same impact.
Right on.
How many communities use this in St. Croix County? Do you have any idea?
I would not be able to tell you that, but this is not uncommon. This is quite common for all the reasons that I described. Those that did this early on did build levy capacity because the rules were different at that time. So if they, moved a certain amount of costs out and started charging a user-based fee, then they had that levy capacity available to repurpose for other parts of their budget. But after essentially 2013, when budgets were set, that was no longer available.
When Eilers was here last year to talk with us about how to increase our revenue, our levy capacity, we didn't really have a lot of other options other than doing more loans for things that fit that criteria. I mean, do we have a lot of options?
You do not. I don't want to characterize using debt as a opportunity to increase your levy, because the money's going to go to pay the debt, right? And that's the only thing it's going to get used for, which is normal, right? But you can do capital projects without, you don't have really any other opportunity. You can't just say one year, we need to do $100,000 of street work, we're going to increase the levy by $100,000. Not arguing that you should or shouldn't do that, I'm just saying it's not even allowed. So one way to achieve that outcome, when you need to do capital, buy equipment, do capital projects, et cetera, is to issue debt, because the levy associated with the payment requirements is unlimited under law. What has become a little more predominant is also seeking referendum approval for permanent or short-term increases to the levy as well. So you're certainly not the only community having these conversations. I can tell you that with certainty. The number of permissive referendums that have gone out the last couple of years has increased greater than it had, much so in prior years.
For operating.
Correct. Well, it doesn't have to be for operating. You can characterize it how you want. You do have to give some direct, it's prescriptive under law in terms of how you set out the question, and it has to talk about what you're going to spend the money on. It can be operating. You could say streets, things of that nature. So it doesn't have, you can consider streets operating to some degree, but these are more replacements and probably, mill and overlay, that sort of thing. Higher levels of maintenance and replacement.
Thank
So,
you.
If you do this, can you go backwards later on, or is this a permanent choice to go with this?
I would characterize it as permanent. I've never had anybody ask if you can reverse it. It's usually having positive budget impacts, and so I'm not aware of anything under law where you could actually now increase the levy and eliminate the fee. There's not anything that I can immediately think of that would allow you to do that. Special legislation, maybe.
Yeah, you couldn't go back. Once you start
I don't think there's a practical way to.
How would you rebuild it?
I'm not aware of a practical way to do that, because there's no adjustment on the worksheet that says we're going to stop doing this and start putting it into the levy. It doesn't exist. So again, if
we're going to come up with a lot of net new construction, and we're already close there, so we can't.
No doubt.
Can't just say, hey, we'll fix it this way.
yeah, you're largely. I mean, you have some opportunities, but
Sure.
you're largely built out from
Not to fix a levy situation.
No
like
doubt.
that.
No doubt. And again, because you have a very low tax rate, even if it's high single digits, it doesn't produce a lot in dollar amount. So there's that constraint as well.
Thank you, Brian.
Any other questions before I step away?
Thanks.
Yeah,
No.
of course.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
You're welcome to stay, but we won't be offended if you need to get back to your family.
Yeah, that's okay. I would argue Gene and Nathan have an excellent handle on this, just given their own research and communicating with us. And so they can either relay to us if you have further questions, or I would say you've got good resources here in the village as well.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay. Next item on the agenda. Review offer to purchase village-owned land from Bruce Lenzen. Discussion and possible recommendations.
Stan, I can give an update on this. Bruce's current offer to purchase expired on July 31st. I have talked to him, and he did confirm that he will not be renewing that offer. So this is a closed item.
Okay, closed item.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Review offer to purchase village-owned land from Celeste Cobero. Discussion, possible recommendations.
Stan, I move to decline the offer to purchase submitted by Celeste Cobero for land owned by the Village of North Hudson.
I second.
Thank you, Brian and Barb. Further discussion?
I think we should note that the county considered this item. They're the 50% owner of some of the property and 100% owner of other property along there, and their decision was that it should be maintained for preservation and dam maintenance.
That was suggested by one person that was on that meeting, but I still feel that if there was to be a purchase or anything else like that, it should go through the proper way of being purchased, which the county did say was not the proper way.
Actually, it was the administrator and one of the
It's fine.
one of the commissioners.
If that's what they want to do, that's fine. But I just feel that this is something that is done with right now, and it is where it is right now, and we're just going to move forward with what we have.
Yeah, City of Hudson also declined to accept the offer to sell it, so,
Actually, the city hasn't taken any action yet.
excuse me?
If we're gonna talk, let's do it right, please, everyone. Come up to, or if Stan, I'm
it's
sorry, I
not.
apologize for speaking for Stan.
Yeah, no.
I apologize, Stan. I'm sorry, Stan. That was inappropriate. I apologize.
Well, all right, so Hudson hasn't done it, I stand corrected, and, but there's, the county is not interested, and obviously from the motion and the second, we're not interested in selling it, so we're not going to put it up for sale. And Hudson can make their choice from that. And I know with discussions with the mayor and stuff like that, they're not that interested in selling it either. Or trying to maintain a park or anything like that, so I just so you're aware, that is, the property is no longer for sale and the offer to purchase is turned down.
Vote on it?
Yeah, so,
Have to vote, yep, okay. Brian?
Yes.
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 Okay, thank you.
I have a question. If there comes another offer, how do citizens or residents learn about it?
Through this meeting.
Through attending meetings, and we would have to know it's on the, or on the agenda.
It's posted online.
Yep.
And I'm sure Mary will keep you informed.
Could I ask a question too? Do you want me to come up here?
What's that?
Yeah, he's got a question.
Or is that a-
Regarding,
regarding this property?
well, we just took it off the market, so I don't understand what the question would be.
Any,
Question would be.
any question we could email to one of us, then we can answer through that way, just so we don't allow.
Talking to Gina, and
Sure.
I will continue. to
Yes,
talk.
yep.
All right,
Any
that's
question we
the
have-
best plan.
Yep, let's send them through Gina so we could follow the proper steps, so.
I'm kind of new to your process.
Yeah.
here.
Yep, yep.
I've only lived there 20 years.
Second meeting or first?
I think it's the first time I've seen you in a meeting, and I've been doing this since 13.
So any questions can go to Gina, we'd love to answer them, but that should be the proper way we go through forward.
I would like to just respectfully say that, at least for me, and I think one of us, we didn't hear from Mary, so I don't want.
That's,
Yeah.
it was a silly.
Oh, okay.
Kirk.
I
Well,
stand
actually, I
corrected
think it's
twice
good if
tonight.
trustees let people know what's going on in the community. I consider that actually a benefit to the community, and so I would have been proud to take that label, but I can't own this one.
All right, well, I'm sorry, I just, I assumed that you've been part of this group and with the park and everything else. I thought that you were, I know with the park board and stuff, you're keeping people well informed and so it wasn't totally inaccurate, but I mean, it was, it wasn't, that wasn't a shot.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, that's off the table. Next item is amended Class B, Parent B/Parent Class B liquor license for extended premises Village Inn, Saturday, September 20th to 2025. Approval requested. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Thanks, Brian. Is there a second?
I second, Barb.
Thank Barb. And any discussion?
I think we need to include the conditions that are listed. So
Did we agree with that last time, Paul, that they need to read the condition as a part of their motion, or can we just say that it's
We
noted
have
in
to
the?
certainly reference it
Okay.
if you're not going to read them all.
At least reference conditions 1 through 6 be followed. In that motion, I
Yeah,
guess.
so when you get the minutes, it can be reflected that was the total motion.
Right, that makes sense.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the extended premises for the Village Inn on September 20th, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Unanimous, thank you. Item 10, review, class.
Yeah, we missed eight.
What?
We're supposed to
Well, we
approve.
did Village
Supposed to
Inn,
do
but we need to do 501
501.
Tavern.
Yeah, we skip.
Stan, we started on 501 and then we skipped to Village Inn and that whole conversation.
Oh, cripes, I jumped
Sorry
right.
about that.
Sorry about that.
Well, I think we approved 9.
So did we approve?
We approved 9.
We're on to
Now we're back to amended class, parent B/parent class B liquor license for extended premises, 501 Tavern, Friday through Sunday, August 15th through 17th. Approval requested.
Move to approve with the conditions that are mentioned.
Thanks, Brian. Is there a second?
I second.
Thanks, Barb. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the extended premises for 501, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Now we'll go down to 10. Review Class B, Parent B, fermented malt beverages and Parent Class B liquor license application, El Loro of Hudson, Inc., doing business as El Loro Mexican Restaurant. Discussion, possible recommendation.
Okay, so we have 3 ors here. You want to explain this, Gina?
Yeah, so in order to try and prepare for the meeting, I created a few options as far as motion statements for the board, because we weren't sure of what would happen between when the documents were due to be posted and today's meeting. So the options that were outlined is what would happen if the board would want to approve the liquor license request and a fire inspection was completed successfully. That was option 1. We do know as of today from our fire chief that did not happen, so option 1 is off the table. The other 2 options would be if the board wanted to approve the license, but the fire inspection has not successfully completed prior to the board meeting, which is the case. So if you did want to approve the license after reviewing the materials, option 2 would be the motion statement to read. And option 3 is if you do not want to approve regardless of the fire inspection result, then option 3, that motion would be read. There's background information prepared. Again, I think the seller under as El Loro of Hudson Incorporated is the same seller that ran the Giovanni's restaurant. And so their doing business as has changed from Giovanni's Italian to El Loro Mexican, but the seller is still that same El Loro Hudson Inc. So their El Loro Giovanni's expired at the end of July. They did not seek to have that renewed. They did come back now and are asking for a new license as El Loro Mexican food.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
I don't know if this is legal or not. Can we make a motion to approve on condition of when they pass their fire inspection?
That's number 2.
Yep.
That's 3.
So that would be 2.
Option 2.
So that would be,
That was
we'll
to
approve
no
it
matter
and
what
we'll
says.
contingent upon,
Got it, there it is. Yep, thank you.
yep, no problem. There's a lot on there, so.
Yeah, there was.
So Gina, can you confirm my understanding that the health inspection was initially failed but passed, the issues were addressed, that there have been citations for alcohol violations, but no charges for alcohol violation?
Correct.
I guess, can you define
difference
citation?
between
I-
citation and charge.
So,
So a citation typically in our world would mean that there was a municipal citation or some sort of forfeiture, In this case, the 2 cases that were forwarded to the board were just warnings.
They were warnings. Thank you, Chief.
Citations and no charges.
Thank
2
you.
different levels.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Okay.
Stan, somebody else want to say something? So
Well,
I'm going to move to approve the Class B fermented malt beverages and Class B liquor license for El Loro of Hudson, Inc., DBA El Loro Mexican Restaurant, contingent upon El Loro passing a fire inspection. The alcohol license will be issued thereafter and effective through June 30, 2026.
thank you, Brian. Is there a second?
I will second that.
Thank you, Barb. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next to item 11, Plan Commission recommendations, Chair update,
Did not meet.
did not meet.
We will be meeting in August, though.
Yeah. Okay, item 12, Personnel and Finance Committee recommendations, claims approval requested.
Stan, can I move to recommend the board to approve the August 2025 non-recurrent claims of $73,535.08.
Thank you, Kirk. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Dusty. Discussion?
Anything out of the ordinary?
Nothing out of the ordinary. The largest expenses were all items that had been approved by the board through motions in previous meetings, including the Chromebooks, the wood chips for the park, the repairs to Chief Jansen Pavilion, which looks awesome, and then the new accounting software, and all of the new reports are out of that new accounting software, so if the look and feel is a little bit different. The data's all the same, but that would be because it's coming from our new software. So Nathan, our treasurer, has been working really hard to get everything moved over, and has been doing a great job at that. The only other the other large expense that was not as a part of a motion is for liability insurance and workers' comp, and those are yearly and biannual dues, not dues, but payments.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna need to vote. Mary?
Yes.
Dusty?
Yes.
Yes.
Barb? Yes? John?
Yes.
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 Thank you. Next on the agenda, Public Works Committee recommendations, Chair update.
Dan, we did meet. We have several things to bring forward. Item number 1 is move to approve an allocation of $35,600 in additional funds to the Public Works Department for removal of remaining emerald ash borer trees in the village right-of-ways.
Thank you, Brian. So do we need to go through each one, or do we vote on each one?
Yeah, you want to go through each?
Yep.
I'll second it.
Okay, Kirk and Brian and Kirk. Okay, the motion's been made and seconded to request the $35,600 for removal of the remaining emerald ash borer trees from the village right away.
So Matt, that gets all of the rest of the emerald ash borers in our right-of-ways out of here. We're done.
All of our right-of-ways, but not necessarily easements for.
YouTube, are you watching? I want to hear what you're saying. It's good to get you on get your face up there.
That'll take care of all the ones in the village right-of-ways, so up next to the street, and any of the ones that are dangerous, that could tip on a house or infrastructure. It's not all of the infected trees in the village. There's still some in parks and some in drainage easements that we'll take on, but they're not a priority as far as danger.
Okay. Are we running into any oak wilt in our right-of-ways yet?
I guess I can't answer that because I haven't sent out any to get tested yet this year. The couple that we tested last year came back negative for oak wilt. They're dying of something, but we sent them to the university and they said that there was no signs of oak wilt.
Might as well stay put for a second because
I just want to say that the university had said that, I think last year particularly, a number of trees were dying because of water.
Mary,
Sorry. Yeah. I apologize. And I just asked who you are.
Matt Howell, the Public Works Director for the village.
So thank you.
okay, request for the 35K. Any more discussion?
I got a simple question for Ryan. Describe right-of-way. I go right to the roads.
So we have right-of-way maps that are on the village website, or they're posted around here. So every, from the center line of the street, there's a right-of-way that was established to maintain utilities. So whether it be natural gas, electric, water, sewer.
Okay.
So it's that
Yeah.
chunk of grass, if there's a sidewalk, you're required to maintain it as a property owner in the village, but the village and any utility company has rights to maintain their infrastructure, and to caveat that, without notice. They can come in and dig that up and maintain it at any time after they get a permit.
Thanks, Matt.
Any other questions from the board? Hearing none. Brian?
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
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 Thank you.
All right, second item, Stan, that from the Public Works is we're moving to approve an allocation of $35,000 in additional funds to the Public Works Department for the purchase of a commercial wood chipper.
Thank you, Brian. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, John. Is there, it's a discussion?
So as the note says in our packet here, the Village of North Hudson currently allocates a significant portion of its annual tree maintenance budget, approximately 50%, to the chipping and haul away of tree debris. This includes cleanup following major storms as well as routine removal and pruning. So this would save some money in our tree budget. We'd be able to reuse these chips in parks, not in the playground areas, but, around the parks. It would also improve our response time after storms, reduce reliance on external contractors, and enhance our overall tree management capabilities.
Thank you, Brian.
And Matt, are we making sure we got a good maintenance contract on this thing?
For maintaining it?
Yeah.
All of them are under the prices that we went through. It's all brand-new equipment, so it's got a warranty and.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, what percentage of our wood cleanup do we spend on the chips, would you say, for every year?
The chips?
Yeah, like-
Are you talking playground chips?
Or just in general?
Well, 50% of our, it says right here,
Yeah.
50%.
Just wanted you to say it again.
50% of our,
So on that current bid that you guys just approved before that, it was 21,000 higher if we were to pay for Holloway and to have all that stuff chipped. So just on that last one, it increases it by, or decreases it by 21,000. And over the last storms, over the
That
last
good enough
5
for you?
years, we've got over 100,000 into wood chipping.
Thank you very much.
it saves a lot of money.
Thank you.
If we have a wood chipper of our own.
Sorry, just asking.
All right.
Well, we saved ourselves a lot of money and got a lot of cleanup out of that street sweeper too
Yeah,
that we had.
man,
So
I am getting some
This
good
is just
comments.
another to make, to help our Public Works Department, who does the fantastic job. Any other discussion or questions? Okay, let's see, that's spend for the wood chipper, Mary?
Yes.
Dusty?
Yes.
Good. Yes?
Yes.
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 Thank you.
Third item, Stan, is we are asking to move to approve an allocation of $13,950 in additional funds to the Public Works Department for completion of the 4th Street North sidewalk project, which is the west side. We got the east side of 4th Street between Monroe and Wisconsin. We didn't get the west side done. The plan was
We
that.
need a second first.
Oh,
Okay. I second that.
okay. Okay, so the
These
plan was,
guys.
we were gonna do part of it this year, and then turn around in the budget cycle for next year and try and finish up the sidewalk repairs. The sidewalks were never in our budget, it's something that we had just never paid any attention to, and they were getting worse and worse and worse. So We had them come in and repair a bunch of the sidewalks this year. We were gonna do a bunch next year. And this particular section is probably one of our worst sections, and we didn't notice in the big document that they gave us of everywhere they were going that they were not doing, or not planning the west side of 4th Street between Monroe and Wisconsin this year, instead planning to do it next year, and we're just asking that we get it done this year. It's a bad,
Yeah, before winter.
it's a bad spot.
Gina, where would that money come from?
It would be coming from unassigned.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none. Brian?
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
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 Thank you.
That's all I got.
That's enough. Okay, Public Safety Committee recommendations, Chair update, Dusty.
Stan, we did meet. We had a productive meeting. Sounds like that the new LED crosswalks, sign for Cratley and 35, are supposed to be coming in at the end of this month. Matt, you want to?
Just now. Thank you.
Get your steps in today.
Yeah.
Yes, we've ordered the RRFB, it's called. It's the flashing crosswalks. You'll see them at the end of the trail on 35 as you head north out of town. Same one, same size, everything. It's got a, remember the emails? 4 to 8 week lead time. We're getting towards the 4th week. And then we've contacted NEO and they've provided a quote and they'll be doing the installation. They're also the ones, there's a recommendation from the county because they're the ones who did the ones on the bike trail for the county.
So, and they should be done by September, right?
Yes, as long as all the
Yeah.
contractors and there's no delay in shipping or anything like that. But they haven't updated me and said that there's been any delays, so I'd say we're still on track.
Perfect. Thank you. Besides that, we also had discussions in regards to Galahad Road parking issues. We're possibly looking into every other side parking, or just doing like one side no parking, other side not. It's just a discussion. We're still in the conversations about that, looking into other situations, because obviously we know when you're going down Galahad that it gets very tight. And if there's parking going on, it's hard for people to get through. So that's one thing that we are talking about a little bit more right now. And then the third thing that we brought up was what we would like to review, request to adopt the trailer parking language from the City of Neenah ordinance into an open section under Chapter 90, Traffic and Vehicles Discussion, possible recommendation. I know we have a little bit of stuff in here, but basically, current municipal ordinance related to recreational vehicles has unclear language on whether a trailer not attached to a vehicle can be parked on public streets in the village. The police department has relied on ordinance 90-12, paragraph 2, to address trailers parked on public streets when complaints are received. So we're looking to add a little bit more. Chief, did you want to add anything to it, or?
I think you've got the issue statement in front of you. The Public Safety Committee did move this forward for adoption by the village board. I think one of the issues that we run into typically is sometimes the language in our ordinances is sometimes difficult to identify exactly what it's talking about. And so there's good language in the recreational vehicle, but whether or not how it applies to other vehicles like a construction trailer versus a boat trailer, where a boat trailer obviously is recreational. Construction trailer that sits on the street for, a day and isn't able to be moved, or maybe it's parked in front of a person's mailbox, and then it moves at the end of the day, but then it comes back the next day because maybe construction's 2 weeks long, but there's no truck affixed to it. So just kind of some restrictions on that we've been having issues with. And then just the language that we were looking at mirroring was the City of Neenah ordinance, and it talks about the fact that the police department and public works could authorize the parking of a trailer, without a vehicle attached to it, and so it gave some flexibility if there were complaints that came forward. So just kind of clarify some things for us, for our citizens to be able to look at, construction companies and other vendors to be able to, because a lot of them that I talk to when we do get complaints say, is it in your ordinance? Is it easy to find? And there's a lot of times where we say, no, it's kind of buried here in the recreational vehicle. So if we can call it out, it's easier for those people to just look at our ordinances and know what their responsibilities are.
So is this basically saying you can't take your boat trailer and leave it in the street?
You can't currently do that.
You can't
This would
currently.
be for any other trailer.
Any
basically.
other trailers, okay, gotcha. I like it.
So I suppose I better.
Probably need a motion.
Yep, I got the motion right here. So I move to adopt the trailer parking language for the City of Neenah ordinance into an open section under Chapter 90 Traffic and Vehicles.
I'll
Thank you,
second.
Dusty. Is there a second?
Yep, I second it,
Thank you,
Stan.
John. Any further discussion?
So just looking at the language, so it's not just overnight parking, it's can't be parked at all unless you're actively emptying it out of something. Is that correct?
And we still have the 24-hour parking ordinance that would apply, so if it's a vehicle and trailer and it parks there for more than 24 hours, that would be a violation.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the village adopting the City of Neenah ordinance language for trailer parking, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Public welfare.
They did meet, but we have nothing to bring forward.
All right. Park Board Committee recommendations, chair update. Mary?
Sure. So the Park Board met July 15th, and we have a couple items to bring forward and a couple things I just want to make sure that the Village Board is aware of. So we are, and the community, that we're changing our meeting time from 6:30 to 6 p.m. So we'll be starting at 6 o'clock to make effective time for the River Channel, who's our partner in making sure that information gets out to the community, broadcasting that. Also, Wednesday, August 20th at 5:30 is public comment for the comprehensive plan, and this wasn't mentioned previously, so I just want to make sure the community is aware of it as relates to park issues regarding transportation, which would be trails, land use, which would be what's conservancy and what's park, and also park goals, which are under the recreational section. So if the public has would like to review the comprehensive plan, it's on the county's website, and I think, Gina, it's also linked to our website. Is that correct?
It's on our social media. I don't believe their plan is on the website, but I can certainly do that.
Or we can just go to the St. Croix County Village of North Hudson part, and they've got the draft plan. And again, if the public has comments about that, that's Wednesday, August 20th at 5:30. Then we have brought two things forward for the board. The first is we have a motion that was submitted by Public Works Director, Park, I don't know what your Park Commissioner, I think something like that, and our Forester, which I just learned is his other title, Matt Howell, to move to approve an allocation of $46,000 in additional funds to the Parks Department for installation of a parking lot at Browns Beach.
I'll second.
So a little bit of background with the recent revitalization of Browns Beach, all the great work that was done there on the retaining wall. The area's seen a significant increase in public use, which is great, but it's also intensified some parking limitations, particularly around 3rd Avenue North, which is only 24 feet wide and restricts parking on one side. So Matt, if you could go back up there and just tell us where you are thinking about installing that, those parking spots that we're asking $46,000 for.
There's abandoned road called Park Avenue that's down there, and you're allowed to use abandoned roads for public improvement. Pretty much it's endless what you can use them for. So there's an abandoned road that's there, the village owns, and it's unutilized. We have already cleared all that property because we had to build a staging area for the Browns Beach revitalization project for the retaining wall materials. And we get a lot of complaints from people blocking driveways or blocking mailboxes down there to park their vehicles. There's room for about 3 or 4 vehicles, and this would open it up to a room to 8 to 10 vehicles, and then we wouldn't have so much congestion on the road there and so much of the local residents complaining about the parking.
Thank you. Any questions?
I do. So I have questions on the price of $46,000 to put a paved park in there. I do believe it's gravel right now. Couldn't we just leave it as gravel and mark it as parking spots, so that way we don't have to pay $46,000 to pave some parking?
Unfortunately, we'd still have to do the base work of about 20,000 because your vehicles would just sink in there because it's all mud. It's just an inch of gravel over the top. And we are not allowed to have gravel parking lots or gravel in the village. It's against our ordinances. We require homeowners to put in driveways when they build, so we're not allowed to, by our own ordinances, to have gravel. Like certain places are grandfathered in.
Oh, okay.
Yep. But if they were to be basically removed and added, or a new house or whatever, you have to have, I forgot, it's improved parking, I think it's called.
Yeah.
So it's gotta be, it can be pavers, cement, asphalt, all the above, but it can't just be gravel.
It's gonna have curbs?
No.
No curbs?
No. And then it'll also, being asphalt will help us tremendously because we're gonna store snow there in the winter. Instead of wrecking Summers Landing Park to bring snow in and out from the cul-de-sacs, and this will be a great spot to put it that won't affect anything, and it'll be asphalt going in, so we won't rut up or wreck any parks. So if it was gravel, it'd get a little too muddy to deal with as early spring and fall snows.
You going north or south on Browns Beach Road?
South, on the south side.
On the south side, okay.
I'd just like to say that the right-of-way is not abandoned, it's just not developed.
Well, the road has been abandoned, the right-of-way is still there.
Yeah, the road
So
was
it-
never built.
It's still our road.
Yeah, but if, you don't want to say that it's abandoned, because
Oh.
that brings up other things.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's, whatever word I'm supposed to use instead of abandoned, that's the word I meant to use.
It's just undeveloped existing right-of-way.
Undeveloped existing
Make
right-of-way.
sure to adjust that. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
And that's a spend, so, Mary?
Yes.
Yes?
No.
No? Yes?
Yes.
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 Okay, and then, so that motion carried, and then the next is the Park Board also voted to support a request of the board to allow us to co-host an educational event with the Bike and Trail Coalition to help educate the public about what activities they are considering for the basin property.
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Further discussion?
I had a question why we keep referring to this as anything. There's no motion to build a park. There's nothing out here. We keep having to go back and forth about this. We just discussed that we're not selling the land. Nobody is selling land. Why are we moving forward with this all the time? We've met how many times on this?
It's in our current comprehensive plan. It's also in the updated comprehensive plan, and it's
Updated
something.
comprehensive plan has not passed at
Okay,
this
it's in the
point.
current comprehensive plan.
To build a
and
park there?
To have the Trail Coalition have a trail go through the village. It's supporting trails.
Mary, are
And
there
there's
costs,
been-
like in this present, would there be cost associated with doing that, or is it just selling the idea?
It's not even selling the idea, it's just providing education to the community, because this is something that we have had two representatives dedicated to. Trustee Nelson and Amy Noonan have been dedicated to this for several years, representing the board at these meetings. And also, community members have been involved in this for a very long time. And as you've heard people come and speak at this meeting and at other meetings, there's interest in the community. So it seems like it would be good to try and at some point make a decision about this, because I understand what you're saying, that this has been going on a long time. And it seems like at some point we need to make a decision on if we're going to move forward or not. And in order to really do that, we need to make sure the community understands what the options are and hear from them.
I thought that we had a discussion at one of the last meetings was we are not going to host another informational. We would want dollars. We would want firm information of what is going on with this park. So there's something to move forward with or not. We've heard this how many times for the educate the community. That's all it's been. There's presentations, they're all online. You can go read quote the dates, we can read that too.
I'm bringing forward this from the Park Board. The Park Board of Commissioners, the board can vote it up or down. I don't believe there's been community education. There's been education of the board, absolutely. They've been here several times. The coalition came and spoke to the Park Board at our July meeting, and the Park Board decided they would like to have the community hear about it.
What would this look like? So I feel like we're kind of jumping the gun. Let's talk about what this would look like.
Sure, I think there's a couple different approaches that we could take. We could hold it here. We could hold it at a park. We could hold it at a local business, which is actually encouraged to get young people to show up and attend. So we would determine the right venue for it, and it would be some of the same pictures that you've seen of what the vision is for that area, what's been done, the recommendations and the output from the federal grants that have gone for planning and development, and hear what the community has to say, if it's important or not to them.
We'll totally take back everything I just said. I thought it was coming in here to pitch it to the board again.
That's-
An
yeah, I kind of thought
educational
that too.
meeting is absolutely something that I think is, absolutely, want to host something for the community to go to, but to come in here and do it again, I just don't see the point, but for sure.
Administratively, I would have an ask, and I think Barb, you kind of hit on it, is until the comprehensive plan that's in a draft mode is approved, I would hate to make a false representation of the board's intention about educating this as a joint effort, because it then would make an assumption that the board is supporting it, or the village is supporting it, and until that comp plan is approved with that in there, I just worry a little bit about mixed messages, that if we go and say we're co-hosting this educational about this park, and for whatever reason, next 2 weeks from now, when the Plan Commission does or does not recommend that the comprehensive plan moves forward, it could look a little off, right? So my only ask is from an administrative perspective, can we wait till the comp plan gets approved? So that then we could say this educational co-host is on, that is about something that is within our newly approved comp plan.
Sure, I don't know if you want us to do an amendment or not, Virginia, but there's no way we'd get this put together by the September board meeting when the board's gonna vote on the comprehensive plan.
I don't know that that's gonna happen.
That the board's gonna vote in September?
It has to get through plan in August. So I would just ask that we wait until it's approved before we were to co-host an event of something that's not, that may or may not end up in our comprehensive.
Could you say it was approved by the Park Board, but I guess I don't know, fair question.
So can I just, clarification here? Your concern is by us co-hosting with the coalition, it might lend an idea to the community that the village board is behind this plan, even though we don't know exactly what the plan is yet, or actually what could be done down there now that Lenzen didn't purchase property, which he was going to give the use for this bike trail and park.
I think a lot has changed in the last few days.
Okay.
And I would say the park board, the ask was not for the board to postpone it.
Village.
The village to sponsor it. We were told that we had to come here to ask permission to do it. So it's really a park board event that we are required to ask the village board to approve. And
But, I mean, the park board is a representation of the village of North Hudson, so I would still think that it would still look like.
Seems like an endorsement.
Yeah.
I would think, though, that the writing group, they could sponsor that on their own right now, you know, an educational thing, but it would come through the, I don't know if it's the Rails and Trails or the Bike Coalition, rather than, bringing it through the actual village government at this point.
There's a lot of confusion. I get calls on this a lot. And I just worry from an administrative perspective that it would seem as if we're endorsing a concept that has not yet made it through our comprehensive plan.
So I guess I don't see education as endorsement, but I mean, take a vote and I'll let the park board know what the village board's vote was. That's just how we'll do it.
Okay, it sounds like this should probably be a roll call vote to me. Mary?
Yes.
Dusty?
No.
No.
Oh,
Yes.
Sorry. No.
Are we on me?
Yes.
No.
Thank you. Anything else, Mary, from the,
Nope, that's it. Thanks.
okay. Well, then, it looks like we are adjourned at 7:20. To say 19:20.